Welcome to the My Creative Days podcast, where we will talk about all things DIY, home decor, decorating tips, and creating a beautiful home on a budget. I am hoping our time together will spark a creative idea, help you plan your next DIY, or inspire you to finally tackle that project you keep putting off. Grab your favorite cup of motivation and let's chat. Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. Today, I'm going to be answering a question that was sent in. And as always, I love when you guys send in questions. It can be one question, 4 questions, 10 questions. It can be different questions, all about one topic. Whatever it is, it's one of my favorite things to do here on the podcast is to answer your questions. So please send them in. I get them on, you can email them to me, Lindsay@mycreativedays.com, reach out to me on Instagram @mycreativedays. So, this question was, and one of my favorite things are the things that I always, and this is just so true. It's been true for me. It's been true like any of the, masterminds I've been in, the courses I've taken where, there's like a Facebook group or a way to like communicate or ask questions. If one person has a question, there's at least 3 other people that have that same question and they just don't want to ask, or they don't think they should ask, or they think it's not a good question. Please ask me any question. The simplest things you may think, oh, I shouldn't ask that. Yes, you should. You definitely should, because not only it's going to help you, but it's going to help everybody else that's listening to the podcast and has those same questions. There are so many times when I've been in, like I said, a course or in a word, especially when I started doing all of this, just learning how to grow my business. It would be a word that would, I'm trying to think of one as I'm sitting here talking about it, copy. So somebody would be teaching or talking about, social media and how to grow on social media. And they would say something like, so you will, you will post your photo and then you will write the copy, or they would also say the caption. And I'm like, what's that mean? Copy and caption. Now, those are 2 different words, but the way they're using it, do I caption the video? So does that mean I'm titling the video? Copy, write the copy? What are they even talking about? And it was just like small words like that I didn't even understand. And I literally would ask, everybody's saying copy. What does that mean? So ask those questions, those simple questions. And literally, it's like once even it's when, even with my team, I'm like, I will email one of them and I will say, okay, I know this is really easy, but how do I do this such and such thing on my, on the website, or if it's on Facebook or something? I know this is super easy. And, like putting a link somewhere or something. And, one of them will email me back and be like, yeah, it's right here. You just do this. And then once I know that, it's just like it just makes me so happy. It's like, yes, I knew this was going to be simple. Now I know how to do it, or now I know how to understand it. So when I'm consuming more information or trying to learn something else, I understand what they mean when they say copy. Now it just flows better. It's just, I get it. So please don't hesitate to reach out with any questions you have. That's what I'm here for. I want to answer these questions. And like I said, not only are you going to help yourself, but you're going to help so many other people that have the same questions. So this one was about cleaning your furniture pieces. So I have talked before that you do not need, so basically here was the question. You mentioned cleaning furniture with vinegar and water. I just sanded down some chair legs to the original wood. Can I still use vinegar and water on the bare wood? Such a good question. And this is something that in the beginning I did not know either. So whenever you have, and I've said this many, many times, whenever you are flipping a piece of furniture, no matter what you're doing to it, even if you get it from the cleanest estate sale you've ever been to, you need to clean your piece of furniture. If you skip that, the rest of the makeover, again, no matter if you're staining, you are, putting restore finish on it, you're salving it, you are painting it, you're adding a glaze to it, whatever it is, that part is not going to be, it's just not going to be, it's not going to go well, and it's not going to end up well. So you have to clean every piece of furniture. And I usually, people are like, what do you clean it with? It's really not that hard. Vinegar and water will take you a long way. You don't need, heavy cleaners. Now, I say that, but there's also times, I have rescued pieces from old barns and like taken them out of some dingy places. And so some of those I definitely need to get like a stronger cleaner for it. And there's like degreasers and cleaners and things that you can buy just depending on your piece. But 90% of the time, vinegar and water is going to do you well. So you definitely want to do that. Now, when you have sanded down a piece, so this question is, it's sanding it down to the original wood. So after you clean a piece, and then if you're going to paint it, no matter what your can of paint says, no matter what your primer says, you don't have to prep. You don't have to. Yes, you should. Yes, you should. And I say that, and I don't want to ever discourage anybody like, I just want to start flipping furniture and just, be able to clean a piece and then, put some paint on it and be done. This paint can says I don't have to prep it. I get that. But when I'm talking about scuff sanding, you are not going down to the bare wood like this question said. A scuff sand should not take you, depending on the piece of furniture, more than 15 minutes and usually way less than that. You're just trying to scuff the surface. So your primer, paint, and all of that really gives you the best outcome in the end. But there are also those times, and I do it every time, that I know I can do it easily and I can, get a piece down to the raw wood and then, maybe just stain or restore the wood. I do that. And so that is what she has done. So she said, I just sanded down some chair legs to the original wood. So when I responded to her, I was like, oh my goodness, hats off to you for sanding down chair legs to the original wood. Chairs and tables. Chairs, if you are ever going to do custom work or you ever want to pick up chairs, just make sure that you're pricing it out, or in the end you need to get paid for that work on those chairs. Chairs are one of the hardest pieces of furniture to flip, especially just because there's a lot of spindles and, the legs are usually curvy or, and again, not every piece, I can't say that across the board because, there are straight-legged pieces as well, but usually dining room chairs are the hardest because they take the longest and there's so many spindles and things to get around. So hats off for her to getting chair legs down to the original wood. When you are sanding a piece of furniture down to the original wood, you don't need to use vinegar and water on the bare wood. So when I'm talking about cleaning a piece of furniture before you flip it, I'm talking before you would even scuff sand down to bare wood, add a primer, paint, whatever. When I'm talking about vinegar and water, I'm talking about you picked up that piece at a thrift store, yard sale, whatever, or it's a piece you already have. It's sitting in your home and you're making it over. Washing it right then. Cleaning it, just making sure you're getting there's so much stuff, and especially if she's talking about, chair legs, and I'm thinking that like a dining room chair, there's so much stuff on it, oils from our hands and everything. So a good cleaning, you need to do that beforehand. But when you have sanded down or you have scuff sanded, then you just need a damp cloth. And when I say damp, I'm not talking about soaking wet. You can also buy tack cloths. You can buy those at your local home improvement stores. I don't, just because a damp cloth will get me there as well. Because when you're sanding down, scuff sand or not, or going down to the bare wood, you are going to have dust and sanding debris and whatever left over. And again, you may not be able to see it with your eye, right? And especially like my favorite, the ServPrep sander, that is hooked up to a shop vac, which is unbelievable. Side note, I have a coupon code with ServPrep. So if you're in the market for one, reach out to me so I can give you that coupon code because I love to save money when I can. And I do have one, but, so it's hooked up to a shop vac, but still, even after I've used that, I still go over whatever I had sanded with just a real lightly damp cloth, just to make sure that any of that dust or sanding debris is picked up before I move on to my next step. So to answer her question, if you have you're sanding something down to bare wood, you don't need vinegar and water. You don't need to spray it down. All I would advise you to do is just use some water on an old rag. A lint-free cloth is best. And then wring it out really, really good. You just want it to be wet enough, tacky enough, just wet enough to pick up that debris. And so do one swipe of it, really well, and then, rinse off your cloth and even get it, even wring it out more and go over it again, just to get off anything that's left over. And you'll be surprised. I hope you're doing this step, but you will be surprised how much is actually left over, even if, you do have the Surprep in it, or, and it's hooked up to a shop vac. There will be some stuff left over. You just want to make sure you get all of that off. Even if you got something down to the bare wood, and this is what I told her, you get something down to the bare wood and maybe you're not staining, painting, or anything like that. Maybe you're just you like the look of the bare wood, which is really popular right now. And you're just wanting to put like a top coat or a poly on it. Even if you're doing that, you definitely need to give it that, damp cloth wipe away before you do that, because that poly, no matter poly, paint, stain, whatever, it's just not going to stick to your chair or the piece that you're making over, because if there's dust and things underneath that, the product, whatever it is going to stick to that dust, dirt, or whatever. So, after, it may look, when you get it all done, it may look like, oh, it's all done, it's covered or whatever. But then over time, those areas that weren't prepped and cleaned right, they're going to chip away, or because, the dirt may fall off of it, over time, or it may, get nicked or hit. And then, those things are going to come off. So you definitely, these are, part of the prep process, part of the process in general that are so important, and you cannot skip them. So, anyway, I loved this question, and I know it's one that I would have had way back in the day, like, okay, now what do I do? Do I use vinegar and water, or what do I do now? So definitely, if you get it down to the original wood and you're ready to go to your next step, all you need is a damp cloth, because you're sanding, the cleaning is super important, and you have to do the vinegar water cleaning beforehand. But then especially when you're scuff sanding or sanding down to bare wood, that's also kind of like a cleaning, if that makes sense. It'll get off whatever maybe your, vinegar and water, or if you're having to use like a stronger cleaner, didn't get off, right? So that's just another safety net kind of thing that gets your piece really ready for the next step. But you definitely do need to wipe it away just with a real lightly damp cloth, just to make sure that dust and that sanding debris and everything is picked up before you move on. So I hope that was helpful. Let me know if these podcasts are helpful. If there's anything you'd like me to cover, like I said in the beginning, please reach out to me, Lindsay@mycreativedays.com, or reach out to me on Instagram @mycreativedays. I never share your name. That's not the important part. It's just me trying to, I do have a lot of content that from questions and things I get asked all the time, but yet I don't know what else you're struggling with. So if it's your business, your furniture flipping business, a furniture or a project, a DIY project, decorating, all the things that My Creative Days and that I share on my channels and on my site, anything and everything, you can ask me whatever you have. So, I hope that was helpful. And until I talk to you guys next time, I hope you have a great day, and we will talk very soon. Hello, friends. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I'm grateful that you tune in every week and that you share the show with your family and friends. I love having creative chit chats with you, and my hope is that this podcast will inspire you to try a new project, start a DIY that you've been putting off, and decorate your home exactly how you want it. There are a few ways you can help us with the podcast. Follow the podcast so you don't miss an episode. And if you could take a few minutes to leave the podcast a review, that would help us so much. Again, thank you for being here, and I look forward to our chat next week. Bye-bye.